So about a year ago, I created a video. This is a video that was pretty near and dear to my heart because it actually highlights a part of me that I've struggled with basically all my life. Actually, literally all my life. And I'm not ever here to claim that I am a specialist or that I know everything about it. This next video that I'm making now is kind of a spin-off of that, but also inspiration by parents that have messaged me directly trying to figure out how to help their child. I've written down a list of about 5 questions that I'm gonna try to answer. And then if any more questions arise, definitely leave them down below. I'll try to get back to them as much as possible. And then if I have enough of them, maybe I'll make a part 2 to this as well. So although I'm not a parent myself, I'm going to be speaking mainly on the child aspect and how it was growing up, living with this on a daily basis and my feelings throughout this. First question on my list is, how do I help my child feel better about their condition? Growing up, there was nothing I did more than fixate on the condition, on the fact that my eyes didn't work like everybody else's. It was the blemish on an otherwise, not to say that I'm perfect, but otherwise perfect photo. It was the smudge on the painting that I would fixate on. Every day I had to live with it. Every morning I woke up, it was there. Every night that I went to sleep, I thought about it. And so I think one of the most important things as a parent with your child is not to fixate on it. Don't try to make everything, oh, it's okay because it doesn't matter that your eye is this way. It doesn't, just relax. They're already fixated on it enough. So as a parent, my suggestion is actually to kind of underplay it a little bit. There's a balance there that you have to strike where you don't want to completely never talk about it ever, because talking about it is really important. And I think growing up, my mom and my friends and the people around me, allowing me to vent about it sometimes really took the pressure off my back or kind of let me escape from it a little bit, just being able to vent about it. But also big props to my mom never necessarily fixating, and a lot of my family never fixating on the fact that this was a thing. It wasn't ever really mentioned. I didn't ever feel limited by the people around me because they had to take into consideration a condition that I had. But the second thing I'd say to that is let them know that they're not alone. So I think that speaks to this balance that I'm talking about, where growing up, I didn't know that there were other people with this condition. Of course, it makes sense that there are. And of course, like saying it out loud, you're like, yeah, obviously. But I never knew anybody with this condition. Some people would say, oh, I have a lazy eye, like I understand. But like not really. A lazy eye is one thing where sometimes your eye may veer off. This condition that I have, I literally cannot look left. Like my eye has a physical limitation. Just not having that full range of motion got so frustrating to me sometimes. And although I appreciate the outreach of like, I have something too that limits me. I get it, we all have something, but this specific thing that nobody could really associate with me on or really connect with. It wasn't until I was very much older that I found videos of people saying, I have Duane Syndrome. Here's like a whole YouTube video, or here's a whole YouTube channel dedicated to this condition. In my original video, I literally talked about breaking down because I realized for the first time seeing somebody with this condition and realizing that I'm not alone in it. It was like a glass shattering. So making your child aware that they're not alone in this, and in a real way, not that I could connect with you in that way, but in a real way of there are other people like this who live good lives, who have husbands, who have wives, who have families, who have friends, and who have jobs. And as a child, I think you tend to, when you fixate on something, so much of your life is so contained in this little time period that everything is catastrophic. High school breakups are like the worst thing that could happen. And so this condition that you're growing up with can be in your head catastrophic at times. But that reframing and understanding that other people are living with this, adults are living with this, is so valuable in my opinion, and would have helped me, I think, immensely. My next question was gonna be how to help children become more confident with this condition, but I think that actually is pretty explained by the first portion of this video as well. So I'll kind of jump over that. Again, if you have any additional questions, leave it down below. And the third question I wanted to throw in here because I thought it was kind of wholesome. There was a parent who asked me if I could watch 3D movies. And I don't know, I thought this was just wholesome, like a wholesome, not world-ending, confidence-building thing. The short answer is yes, I can still watch 3D movies. And I think most people with Duane Syndrome will be able to, unless you have a very aggressive type of Duane Syndrome. It really just depends. But to my knowledge, I don't believe that there's really incidences where you're not able to see it. For the most part, at least for me, I don't have any sort of issues with either eye when it comes to actually visually seeing anything. I've gone to eye doctors plenty of times and made sure I could do all the tests and made sure my vision was good on both sides. It does seem to be the case. I'm completely fine. Your results may vary because it depends on your eyes. You might need glasses, you might not need glasses. To my understanding, your eyes themselves don't work any differently. It's actually just the capability of movement that is different within people with like Duane syndrome. But again, I thought that was wholesome, so I wanted to throw that in here. Question 4 is, what can you expect a child with Duane syndrome to experience? You as a parent, what can you kind of expect from someone who's growing up with it? This one is a little bit more personal and everybody's going to have a different experience. I do remember being fixated on it for quite a while. Like, it took years to not be frustrated, to not feel like it was unfair, to not like, literally I wrote down, because I tried to not only put the questions, but also my answers to the questions. There were like, in the more sadder times, there were days where it was just all I could think about. And there were times where I just wanted to like literally frustrated, rip my eye out, and not in like a real, like I want to hurt myself, but just frustrated that you had this limitation and people around you kind of took for granted the fact that they could just move their eyes and not think about their eyes and not think about anything. And I know everybody has something to think about. You're younger and you don't really understand that there's so much more to you than your condition. I think that just comes with time, unfortunately. I don't think there was like any singular thing anybody could do other than just allow the space for conversation and allow the time for acceptance. Acceptance that my life is going to be with this condition. That's just kind of what life is gonna be. A clear memory to me that I think will stick with me forever is, but I remember thinking about heaven, and I remember thinking, I wonder if in heaven, I'll be able to have proper functioning eyes and be able to look around in ways that I've never been able to in my physical body, and in ways that other people took for granted, but I'll be able to fully appreciate in that moment. And not thinking about that in a way, because that sounds dark, but not thinking about that in a way that's like, you know, I want to end things or anything like that, but just in a curious way of, I wonder what that's like. There are going to be some times when your child probably experiences some very negative things when it comes to their condition, because kids are kind of bullies. Kids kind of suck. They point out things that maybe they shouldn't. They're maybe a little too blunt sometimes, and the child on the opposite end is just going to kind of have to take that for a little while until they're comfortable in their own skin and they really accept that, again, there is so much more to them than their condition. Something also that I learned later in life is that if somebody has my eye to pick on and that's kind of the only thing they have, I'm probably doing a pretty good job. I'm probably a pretty good human overall, because if my eye is the only thing you have, then I think I'm solid. And the last thing I want to leave with is, what is it like now? I'm 26, about to be 27 now. So what do you have to expect, not only as a child growing up, but going into more adulthood, teenage years, adulthood, things like that. This has been in my experience, but I kind of get this vibe from other YouTube videos that I've seen with people with Duane syndrome, but we all kind of get this like second nature almost, where you do things, you tilt your head in certain ways, you know your range of motion for your eyes, and so you develop this second language for your body to be able to make it a lot less noticeable. There are a lot of times where I meet people and I'll tell them about the condition that I have, and I'll tell them kind of more or less what it is. And if I've known them for a week or I've known them for 6 months, they'll typically say that I never noticed, I wouldn't have noticed, or I noticed or I didn't want to say anything. But majority of the time, people don't notice. And again, mileage may vary because your particular condition or your child's particular condition might be a little bit more aggressive than mine is. And then secondarily, a lot of just personal growth, a lot of understanding that, again, this is not all I am. I am not this condition. I am my own person, and I'm funny in hopefully in some situations. And I could have a girlfriend and my family doesn't care, and the people I surround myself with like me for who I am instead of my range of motion in my eyes, as silly as it sounds. Kind of to summarize it all up, As long as you give your child the space to vent when they need to, be frustrated when they need to, because at the end of the day, it really is their life. And they have to accept that this is how it is. And there's some grievance in that. And I think there's some acceptance that they have to do. The best you could do is be there for them, allow them that space, allow them to be able to talk and help them to feel not alone. It'll all take time, and I wish the best for all of the parents who have reached out to me. Super serious video, geez, chill. Again, any sort of questions, concerns, leave it down in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.